Hey, Wash, what are we doing here again?
Hey, Random, did you hear that acclaimed British director Edgar Jeremiah Wright has released a new film?
His middle name's Jeremiah?
I have no idea.
Oh, I thought that was legitimate. Anyway, I did. And it's time we talk about it, don't you say?
I say so. I would say so.
I'd say about...
Let's take the time back to last night in a little town within a town called Soho. Welcome to That's About Right bonus episode where we do a first impressions. I can't believe we're finally getting to do this. Of Last Night in Soho, Edgar Wright's latest film, one of two that came out in 2021, and this is the one that all of us have actually seen. But I'm very excited to come back to this and see what the heck our British boy is up to. With that, I'm the Wash.
I'm random bystander here.
And I'm brave. So brave.
Oh, it took me a minute to get that one.
How? Okay, so confession time. When that happened, when the first time, not the second time, that the one woman said, "You're brave, so brave," I thought to myself, using that one for the podcast.
Yep. I mean,
and then she said it again, and I was like, still using that one for the podcast.
And it was even said right at the very end, too.
Oh, yeah, I forgot, actually. Yeah.
You know,
there you
Edgar
go,
Wright.
still using it for the podcast.
There's got to be those quotes of threes. But yes, we did all watch Last Night in Soho, and it was we watched it.
It was a film that we watched.
Yes, when we all saw it in theaters too, because this movie was not out on any streaming services.
Yes, similar with the other film, the Sparks Brothers. That one, I'm pretty sure was just in theaters, and obviously people did not show up to the theaters, but it did eventually show up on Netflix, at least. This time, I'm assuming they're trying for the same thing because it is not doing well in the box office. No surprise there.
No. Why did they not put it on the streaming service?
Yeah, this really just should have, especially because it's a pretty pricey film. In terms of budget, it's pricey for Edgar Wright. I should add.
Yeah. I could. Based on what
the last time I checked, I think it's making like $5 million at the box office. I think the last time I checked, that's what it was.
It was projected to make. I haven't checked up on the final numbers, but I know that it was projected to make $5 million opening weekend, which is really ouch.
Yikes!
Let me double check real quick just to make sure.
And the sad thing is, it's not the movie's fault in the slightest. The movie.
It's a horror movie that came out on Halloween. That's like prime time, you know?
You could argue that a lot of people don't want to go see a movie on Halloween weekend and they'd rather just go out, but I didn't go. A lot of people don't go trick-or-treating anymore, and it would make sense to do that. But that's a whole different discussion in general.
I'll add that this movie ended up making $4 million in its domestic opening. Ouchie, wouchie.
Yeah.
And currently, it's what the fuck? It's the one other country it's released in is Colombia, and the total gross is $102.
What?
I have no idea,
Really?
but also it says
that can't be real.
But also it says that the release date is November 11th, and that's definitely not.
Wait, no, this all makes perfect sense. The movie's so good, it's making profit before it's even out.
Oh my god.
I mean, I don't. I don't know if I would say the movie's quite that good, but
Like it's making currently like making less money in Colombia than that coat cost. The
okay, so we're 5 minutes into this. And we haven't actually talked about the movie yet.
No,
Let's
I was
start
gonna ask
from
like if
the-
anyone. I was
Yeah.
gonna ask if anyone had any experiences going to the theater to see it because this was my first time seeing a movie in theaters in like what,
year and a half.
yeah,
What, like, was your last
I
one?
can tell
onward?
you. I can tell you what the last movie that I saw in theaters was. That was Tokyo Godfathers.
oh nice.
Oh yeah, that's right. You talked about that.
It was great.
Mine was Onward.
I had a feeling. Yes, that was It was the thing is that wasn't the first time. The first time was like a month before I saw another horror movie. I saw Malignant, and that one is fucking stupid, and it's great. It's awful, and it's great. Just so much I want to say about Malignant, but there's just no way I'll be able to fit that within this discussion.
Yeah. But I went to see the movie Edgar Wright. I always ask Mama Bystander if she wants to see any movies with me. She saw Luca with me when I saw it for the first time. I asked her if she wanted to see Night in Soho. What streaming service is it on? She asked. I told her it was in theaters. No, I'll wait.
I think that's
so. I literally went to the movies alone, and there was like 4 other people in the auditorium in the theater watching it.
You saw it on a Monday, right?
I saw it, yeah, literally the day after Halloween.
Right. Okay. So I saw it on Halloween, which was my first time. I think it's the first time I went to see a movie on Halloween. And I saw it in a theater within a mall. So as I stepped out of the place, like I could see people, like shoppers coming in wearing costumes, because I guess that's what you do when you can't go trick or treating, is just walk around the mall in a costume, which is cute.
Yep.
That looks really cute. Some funny. I could swear that somebody showed. I know somebody showed up at the Joker, and I want to say somebody showed up at Spampton, but I don't know if that was a planted memory.
So we're 7.5 minutes in now. We're still not talking about the movie.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to say anything about your theatrical
do you have
experience
anything
before
to
we
say about your
start?
experience?
My GPS took me on a wrong turn, so I was like 20 minutes late, but the movie still hadn't started because there were that many coming attractions.
It's gotten so bad.
It's so bad.
That's one thing I didn't miss about the streaming services.
They came in clutch, I guess. I didn't miss any of the movie.
Yeah, it's quite perfect, but god damn, just the pounds and pounds of coming attractions. Awful.
Anyway,
Anyway,
let's talk about the movie.
Yes, let's talk about the movie. Did you have any expectations going into the movie? What did you know about this movie?
None. I tried, other than it was delayed and it had something to do with horror and apparently time travel, because Twitch told me that through one of their advertisements through Twitch.
Right.
That's all I knew. I tried to keep myself little to nothing as possible.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good way to approach the Edgar Wright film. That's how I tend to do it. What about you, Kirby Sam?
I remember Random bringing up that this was a time travel story, and I was like, oh, well, that's more that I know about this movie than I did before, I guess. But when I went to see the movie, I forgot. So, yay.
I think even then, I want to say that the time travel thing is like debatable, but I think that's something we can discuss.
Yeah.
The only other thing I want to add is obviously, like I was following the news on this for a while. This was talked for a while, and I know this was supposed to be something where Edgar Wright says, I don't want to have to release a film every 4 years. Whoops. That didn't work.
I mean,
out.
to be fair, it wasn't his fault entirely.
No, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. Obviously pandemic screwed it up. It was supposed to come out last summer, like a summer 2020, and then got delayed to delayed to the fall, and then it got postponed altogether, and finally it's showing up Halloween weekend. It's a good Halloween movie too. I want to talk about that. But yeah, it just kind of plopped in. Unfortunately, there still is a pandemic going on, and people are still not. My theater actually wasn't too bad. I'm sure partly was because it was Halloween, and it just seemed right. So it was a decent crowd, but no, it's a damn shame that like when I talk on Discord servers about it, it seems like I'm the only one who actually went to see this movie, and based on the box office, that seems about right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yuck, yuck, yuck.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
All right, we are 11 minutes in now, and we still haven't talked about.
What
the
are you
movie.
talking about? We're talking about the movie.
Yeah, we talked about the movie, just not the plot of it.
For heaven's sake. Okay. What did we do plot synopsis for like?
No, because we haven't talked about the movie.
All right.
No. That's what I'm asking. That's literally what I'm asking.
And this is the episode that brings the podcast apart. Anyway, who wants to do a plot synopsis?
I'll do a plot synopsis. A student from the countryside. I think she said it was like southwest England. Moves to London to study to become a fashion designer. Loses her mind because London is fucking terrible, and hilarity ensues.
Yuck, yuck, yuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. This isn't a comedy though.
Yeah. For real, that is like she while in London, she has because the thing is she has a huge obsession with the 60s culture. And she has dreams and fantasies about this woman trying to make it big in 1960s London. And she starts noticing that the dreams are getting darker, and they're starting to affect her physically. What is going on here?
Yeah.
By the way, this podcast is 98% unedited, 100% spoilers. So if you didn't want to hear us saying that Sandy was the murderer all along, well, now you do.
Well, I mean, if you like psychological horror, that actually hasn't started yet. Never mind.
Yeah. Anyway.
Someday, if you're watching this months late, check out when they podcast.
So yeah, what do you think of the characters?
Yeah, let's get started on the characters.
This should be interesting. This should be very interesting. I don't know where we want to start, but I'm curious.
Okay, I guess we can get started with the I think we should note that like we've talked in the podcast in the That's About Right podcast that Edgar Wright has some issues with female characters, and this time around we actually have a female co-writer in the bunch. Why did I not write down? Oh, okay, yeah. Christy Wilson Cairns did the co-writing for this one, and I feel she did a good job with Ellie, the main protagonist of or Eloise or Ellie, but I felt she did a
she doesn't even know what to call herself.
Yeah.
She does not. No.
But yeah, she seems like very like fish out of water, awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Just like trying her best to like. She already knows what she wants to do in life. A bit odd.
Mm-hmm. She's not like other girls.
Yes,
she's
and not
brave, so brave,
and not just because of her Stephen King trope of power, but or is it more Sixth Sense? Anyway, yeah, she's played. I would say she's written very well, and she's played very well by. I'm gonna butcher this. Thomasin McKenzie.
that's a good point. I'm thinking it's Thomason McKenzie, but I do have to check that.
I'm sorry, Thomason. I'm sure, I apologize, but you did very well, in my opinion. I thought there wasn't at any point where I thought, where I didn't believe Eloise at all. From the moment she's like just starting out, and she's like kind of just like I want to say Pollyanna almost, like she just like blissfully unaware of like what the trouble of what the real world is like almost like a sheltered high school kid entering college for the first time, pretty much. And but then you slowly see her just devolve into madness, and all of it was believable and logical, and it all made sense. Like, and you just see that like the wheels start to just go a little bit too fast, and things, and she just starts like, you could see her struggling with her mental state and dealing with all the paranoia around her. And I really enjoyed the performances and the shots from her. There
were a lot of points where I was kind of like pulling my hair from like stress, because there's a lot of tense scenes in this. But also just like how much I related to this, because this is if you ever have to move to a new place, and suddenly you don't have the you don't have quick access to the friends and family that you usually do. It can really hurt. So I really died with this, and I felt it wasn't like it's the thing where you can just kind of see where she's coming from, and she has this idealistic idea of history that from the get-go is like, are you shitting me? 1960s? You think that everything was hunky-dory?
I super thought that too.
I mean, in a way, yeah, like the 19, it's so easy to romanticize a certain time in the past, like the 1960s.
I can just say straight up that like I had a phase in my teen years where I was super into the 80s. I loved like 80s pop music, 80s movies, and I guess I also had those things seemed so much simpler in the 1980s. As fucking
as if no problems were going on.
No problems were happening in the 1980s, and this is much the same. But you're a kid, you're a teenager. Yeah, I get it.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, technically she's old enough to go to college, but at the same time, you're still a kid.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, I was like, really, the 60s, but also I'm not sitting here being like, ruins the character, ruins the movie. None of that. None of that. Like, it's fine. You're wrong, but you're fine.
I think that's the point, though, because
yeah. Like I said, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Because literally, you see her ideas of the 60s crumble as soon as like these sequences happen, and it's great.
Yeah, like when she like has that first, when she has that second dream where suddenly like everything is falling apart, or maybe I don't remember which
it's
one
like
it was.
The second. I would say it's the third one. I think it was the third when things really get bad.
Yeah.
Because first one is the one where she goes dancing, which we'll talk about that scene, not just because of plot, but also because of shots and like how it looks. Yeah. But the second one is the audition, and then the third one is when it starts to get a little bit screwy.
Yeah, it gets really screwed up, and like it gets really horrific for her, and she, like after that second dream, she already like changed her hair, like she was getting fully committed, like I'm into this style, I'm into this world, and then immediately after it crumbles away, and she just feels so she's just so horrified that she's like ripping apart her school project and just like having a panic attack in school, just and the whole time she's calling her grandmother, just saying, yeah, everything's fine.
Oh, that felt too real.
Yeah, this.
felt
Especially
too-
like before, like really early with the roommate stuff, all that.
Oh
like,
my
yeah,
God.
yeah.
Oh God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God.
Do we gotta save up for the roommate? I think we do.
Let's just talk. What do you mean save up?
No,
They
no,
were-
no. Save just talk.
We could. I mean, we could talk about it because that's one of the first challenge. That's the whole reason she goes to Soho in the first place, right? That's the whole reason she goes to that apartment is because the roommates are assholes, or one roommate in particular.
Yeah. Her name is
I mean, the other ones probably would have hit it off if they're
Yeah.
okay. There's the one that said she was brave, so brave.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Joe Casta is the bitch. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Joe Casta is the horrible person.
Yeah. But which, by the way, Sinove Carlson, probably butchered that name too,
Genova.
plays it very well
Genova,
because
yeah.
she's not like the. She's not like the outward, oh my God, I hate you immediately. She's the sneaky type where she's just like, oh, I'll be your friend.
Yep.
Yeah, and she just like talks bad behind her, which is more believable because that's what happens.
This
I've
is-
met people
yeah.
like this.
This is her. This is Genova Carlson's feature debut.
And she does a damn good job.
She did a damn good job. Good.
Yeah, I agree.
Good damn work. That like it's. I can really. But like you said, it's a bully that makes sense. It's not
Yes.
just a bully. Like this is somebody who's just really petty and jealous and really
And
hates
competitive.
competitive. Exactly. Like
so much that they're like she takes Ellie admitting what happened to her mom as like a competitive threat.
I mean,
Yeah,
I,
like
don't
just-
want to make this into a competition or anything, but you know.
Oh,
Well, no, my uncle like died from. He also committed suicide. So I know what you feel.
Wow, you're also brave.
Yeah,
so
you're
so
brave.
brave. God, it just the fact that they're able, like, it's weird. Is it weird to call that? I don't want to call that funny, but it's like,
No,
It's just like-
I would call it funny. I mean, it's pathetic.
Yeah, I was like, this this isn't a comedy, but at the same time, this is still an Edgar Wright movie.
yeah, and Edgar
The-
Wright's gonna throw in jokes when he can.
There are still a lot of jokes. It's a lot it's a lot more dialed down compared to Baby Driver.
Oh
um,
yeah,
But
Oh.
it is you still there's even like jokes where it's like everybody kind of plays it seriously, and then it took me like a second to realize that they just said a joke.
Yeah.
Like there was one line where she says like she talked with her boss, the bartender at the bar. She said, "Do you believe in spirits?" And the bartender says, "Honey, that brown stuff pays your bills." And she says, "No, I mean ghosts." That took me
Ghosts.
that took me way longer than it should
yeah,
have.
same here. I was all into like, wait, brown stuff. What? Oh,
That was great. That was great.
that was great. And there's like some little thing, like even Ellie has some moments of comedy too, where she'll just like say something in very dry and matter of fact. It'll be like, I'm trying to think of like an example.
God.
There's one like pretty.
There was one where it says like it was with the boy what's his name John
That's his name.
the boy that was kind of following her along.
I don't know why I thought it was something else, but yeah, it is John.
Truth be told, I am trying kind of because there's also Jack, but that's something we can talk about later. But like there was one point where it says, "Oh God, I can't remember what it was, but it was like it's just saying something." See, that's like, "Can I get you something?" And do you need anything? And he has like this long talk, and then Ellie was just like, "No, I meant like a drink." But I can't remember the I can't remember the damn joke. You just gotta trust me, people. You gotta trust me.
Just yes.
But
that's
it
the
is-
humor, and
Yeah, there is still humor in this. It is
Yeah.
funnier than it kind of lets on, but not too much so.
yeah,
They know
It's-
how to
it's-
balance that. And
yeah. It's no Hot Fuzz or anything like that.
no, it's not
um,
nearly that level of like cartoon.
Yeah, in fact,
No
things
jumping
get
the
really.
fence.
In fact, things get really dark. Even from like early on, because
Oh,
you
yeah.
see I'll give you one example of like just an opening of how like twisted London is in this film and like how perverted it is just from the moment she gets into a taxi cab and like
fuck. I can't.
Yeah, when the
and-
guy was like, "Oh, nice legs." you got a stalker
you have
already.
legs for a model. Yeah, and he literally you see her go into the store and look out to see if he's still there watching her.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, not
Yep.
only is that terrifying, but like it's sadly too familiar. Like I've heard people tell stories about this,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, no.
Yeah. It was just that was like the early. Because that's the thing is that like I walked into this without like I also knew that it was there's gonna be something about the 60s and there was gonna be some level of time travel and I wasn't sure because like with that scene like if already was feeling like a horror film it was like where are they going with this, what's gonna happen, and it does pay off in later on, but god damn that just sucked. And
Yeah,
it's the yeah I can imagine that just coming from personal experience just the especially like you said her waiting in the convenience store just waiting for him to just go away.
yeah. Like there's a shot of her like looking through the rearview mirror, buying a Coke, and then she looks back and he's gone, and it's just like the relief you see on her face.
Yeah, but
yeah.
also there's the fear of like, oh god, what if he shows up again? Because he's a
Does he show up again? I don't think he does.
He that's what I was gonna say is that he's in the dream, if you remember.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't remember seeing him there, but I probably need to rewatch this
he was
again.
the one that kept hidden on Standy. This was in like the first or first, I think it was the first dream actually. That guy shows up and just said, "Hey, honey, you wanna dance? Yeah, you're looking.
Oh,
real
that's
fine."
him?
Huh?
That's him?
I swore that was him.
Is it? I mean, I don't know.
That
It
I would
looked
have
like
to,
the
I would
same
have to double
actor.
check. I would have to double check. I would not be
Yeah.
surprised because that
Same,
sounds like
same.
something Edgar would do. But I
It looked
would
like
need
the
to
same
watch that
actor
again.
to me. It looked like the same guy. And then like later on, you see that same guy even though they had a fight, and it looked like Jack was defending Sandy against that creep. Later on, you see the two of them are buddies. And
Yep, I saw that,
Yep.
and I was like, oh
Yeah,
no.
Yeah.
Speaking of, is there anything else you want to say about Ellie? Or do we want to move on to possibly talking about
I think there's quite.
two of the familiar characters slash actors?
Do we want to go to Sandy and Jack then?
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, you could kind of talk about one without the other, but like it just makes sense to bring them together at one point.
Yeah.
Although I'd say one is more to talk about than the other.
Well,
What do you think, Kirby?
Yeah, let's start from there.
What do you think, Kirby?
On what?
Well,
Are
first
we-
off,
are
do you
we
have
talking-
anything else you want to say about Ellie?
I mean, I liked her a lot. I could definitely, really feel, as Wash was saying, that struggle of trying to fit in and stuff. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot that I could say about her, but I feel like Ellie really starts being her own character later on in the movie. Or there's more to talk about, and I don't really want to get into too much of
Yeah.
that before we really
I-
get there.
Mhm.
I can agree with you, especially because literally throughout most of the film, she's trying to make herself literally, even with her hair, to Sandy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, this ruins the character, this ruins the movie. I'm not trying to say anything like that. Just that it's starting with the second half. There's definitely a lot more to say about her, ignoring the stuff that we already talked about.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Sandy and probably Jack.
Yeah.
I feel like we'll talk more about Sandy. So both of these are two very popular actors and actresses, by the way.
We have Anya Taylor-Joy as Sandy, and you have Matt Smith as Jack, who's the 11th Doctor Who.
Doctor.
I'm sure that's very important to random here.
Funny enough, I don't watch Doctor Who, but I know he's a doctor. That's how.
I thought you watched Doctor Who for a bit.
I watched one season. I haven't even gotten to like what's his name, David Tennant yet. So
really, I feel like that's
again. I know they're doctors because of TikTok, and that's literally. True. I was like, I saw him in the trailer. I was like, Doctor. I was like Gumby,
Doctor. But the other one, Anya Taylor-Joy.
We all know.
She's in The Witch. She's in Queen's Gambit. She's a well-respected actress, making it big. She's gonna be Princess Peach, guys. Aren't you excited?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I could not think about like as soon as I saw her on screen, I'm like, there's future Princess Peach.
Yep. I was like, wait a minute, that's who I think it is, right?
Yeah, and at the same time, I was
like Witch is like doing. I still haven't seen Witch, but like I hear nothing but good stuff about her performance in The Witch. Queen's Gambit, same thing, but all because of Chris fucking Pratt. Now all of that is shot, and it's like it's Princess Peach.
Yep.
Come on. Come on.
Why? It's no. By the way, we're not criticizing her. No way in hell. I feel like
Chris Pratt.
We're criticizing. No, we're criticizing the casting of the Mario movie. That's what we're doing.
I can talk about that all day. So instead, I liked Sandy.
Yeah, me too. Especially, I love how her character evolves throughout the whole movie in so many ways in one. Because you first see her as like the innocent, not innocent. You see her as the I want to be a star.
Yeah, starry-eyed. She really driven to be into fame and fortune. She thinks she's got it all, and she does.
Yeah, she's got talent. She's got the look. She's got like the drive. She wants to be a star in the '60s, and.
But the thing
is,
she
literally goes to a club and just like, what?
He's got the body. Yeah.
She meets Jack,
mm-hmm.
where she literally goes to the club and she's like, I want to work here. He's like, and someone's like, you gotta talk to Jack. And they hit it off. They start dancing. They become he becomes her boyfriend. He starts giving her gigs, and it seems like everything's just how it's supposed to be. But then things quickly go haywire, and we learn that Jack isn't who he says he is, and the world of showbiz in the 60s is not the friendly place it appears to be.
No, it's quite hideous. Like just full on prostitution. Like Jack is assumed to be the manager. And in a way he is, but he is better described as her pimp.
Yep.
And
literally at one point there's like one point, I forget where in the modern day, but he's like described as a pimp. Yeah.
I think. Oh yeah, that's right. Because Ellie was talking with the police and saying that she got stabbed by her pimp, and she's employing the police to please investigate this, and they say we'll check up on it, and then she hears them really laugh at her. Out.
So
yes,
do we want to talk about their characters first, or do we want to talk about that cool ass mirror scene?
I guess we can start. Let's start in a happy place. Oh, actually, do we want to start in a happy place, or we want to get to dark and then go back to the happy place? But actually, even then, that's like the happy place is tinged because we know what's coming.
Yes, but at the same time, happy place. The mirror scenes were cool.
So inventive.
Yeah, there were a lot of cool stuff with mirrors.
It
Throughout
was
the
all-
movie too.
Yeah, it was all practical too. Like no CGI.
Do
from
you
what I've
look
been
Yeah,
told.
I noticed. I noticed.
Yeah, the mirror scenes.
Oh, I thought like because I thought that the some of the mirror stuff was I know that they had a dance where it was switching back and forth between Ellie and Sandy, and I could tell that there were I think there were a couple hidden cuts, but I could tell that they kept like switching the actors back and forth and being very careful with how they shoot it, and it worked so well.
Oh yeah.
That's the classic sort of Edgar Wright move to just start playing around and make everything really feel like a dream. Because that's what it is at first. Like it just feels like a dream and just like kind of just floating back and forth, and it's great. It's just a great sequence.
One thing I really like again the mirror scene, because you see Ellie just pretty much like act as like Sandy's reflection, which is very interesting foreshadowing, by the way. And you see her like start to mimic her poses of how she like leans and stands and stuff like that, which again is also very interesting foreshadowing. And I just thought it was really cool. And yeah, you see the dance scenes. Fun fact, I did some research on this. There's a scene where a waiter or like some sort of like guy takes both of their coats. There was no CGI done. It was actually the twins who did that, and not just any twins, but to go back to Harry Potter, it's the Weasley twins from the movies.
Oh, I saw the credits on Wikipedia and was like, where the hell were they? I have no recollection.
They were the waiters in that scene, but instead of just using like CGI to like edit them in there, they literally just made it so one twin was working on each of them and just looked like a mirror image.
That's fantastic.
That's so cool.
That's really funny.
And probably the most enthusiastic thing about Potter we'll talk about on the podcast. But I did some research and I was like, I didn't even notice that they were, and I've watched the movie, I didn't even notice it was them.
Yeah, I had no idea. I did not pay attention to that at all. I guess because all British people look the same to me. So that's all I can say.
Well, we know that Edgar Wright is a Potter fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Sure. Anyway.
All right. So I got. Here is a complaint. Uh-oh. Here comes Kirby fan riding in on the complaint scooter. Uh-oh. So the movie starts and Ellie, moving out of her house, going to London. Her granny is warning her about what happened to her mother. She sees her mother in the reflection. Kind of leads me to believe that this is going to be a story involving Ellie's mother.
Oh, yeah.
Then, when she meets Sandy through the time travel, whatever, it's through a reflection. Now I'm thinking, is she going to be somehow linked to her mother in all of this? Is this going to be a story about her learning about all the terrible things that happened to her mother that caused her to, kill herself?
I think that's what the film was trying to lead you towards. Yes.
Yeah, and then Sandy had no relation to her mother, and by itself, it's like, okay, fine, But there's just a lot. There's early on, and by early on, I mean like the first 10, 15 minutes, there's a lot about Sandy's mother. And then no other part of the movie even acknowledges her mother aside from a passing mention from her grandma until the very end where she shows up again. And it's like, why are you here?
Okay, so my rebuttal to that is that's kind of the signal that she's not okay. Because we see early on that the mother is kind of a signal that like when we first see the mother in the mirror, she realizes, oh, this means that there's good news coming, and this means that I'm gonna get accepted to the fashion school. And throughout her time in London, right up until the very end, the mother is not showing up, and she is just breaking more and more and more. And it's going back to like she's far away from family, far away from friends. She's losing the connections that she doesn't have. So I'm sorry, but I buy it. I buy her not showing up for most of it, because that's kind of what she's going through. Is she's losing, she's not having the support that she needs, or she's straight up rejecting the support that she needs because she's assuming that she can just handle it on her own, and she cannot.
You know, I thought it was a lot more simpler than that. I thought the mother was just haunting the house that she lived in.
Wow.
Honestly, I like that.
But then you see her in the fashion studio, and I'm like, well, shit, there goes my theory.
Well, no. It was that was like after a time skip, right? So now she's just haunting the fashion studio.
Yeah.
Your
That's
theory
literally what I
flies.
thought. It was just like, oh.
Random, your theory flies.
I was about to say, oh, she just sees ghosts depending on where she is. So that's why she sees Sandy and all the stuff that goes on. So that's what I thought. That's what I believed. I like Watch's theory better because it sounds cooler. But also I understand Kirby's critiques, because the mother is underutilized. But I also understand, like, yes, the mother is, even though the grandmother worries about her seeing the mother kind of acts like as like a comfort zone,
a guardian
for,
angel,
Ellie.
if you will.
Yeah, pretty much. And the fact that she's not there, yeah, that's rough. But I just thought she just haunted.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm willing to take that up to a certain extent, but they put so much of an emphasis on her for that first bit of the movie, only for the character to pretty much not matter, like at any point until I don't know. I mean, okay, all right.
And this is what breaks. And this is what breaks
the.
And this is what breaks the podcast.
You keep saying that. It's like you want the podcast to break at this point.
No, I don't. I still want to do what we have planned.
I'll be frank. I have a lot of problems once we enter later on into the movie, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah. We will. It just didn't bother me because I assumed, oh, she sees ghosts that are haunting the buildings. She's not at her home, therefore her mother's not there. That's literally what I thought was the plot. And it could be interpreted as that. We don't know, because that's why I assumed she could see Sandy and Jack and all that stuff, but I couldn't understand quite why. But that was the point of the movie. I really like Sandy a lot. She's interesting. She's confident. She's classy. She's willing to stand up for herself. Before being broken. She's a strong, very independent, and Anya Taylor-Joy plays her really well. Jack is very sly and charming and pulls off a good, charming first impression. So, but he also plays a scumbag really well too. Like, you could see him turn on I wouldn't say turn on a dime, because that's like, isn't that like jarring? But you could see like how it morphs from like one side of him to another. That makes
like
sense.
All of that was the build up to get to here. That,
yeah,
like, all the
like we see him morph into the, like, not evil, but like just the scum that he was leading her on the entire time, and she's just, yeah. And I didn't see the Doctor in him. I mean, I never saw him as the Doctor to begin with. But still, I didn't see Doctor Who. I saw, oh my god, this guy is scummy. He's going... you need to get away from him.
I don't know, Matt. I don't know that I've seen a film with Matt Smith. Maybe he's shown up somewhere. But, like, I definitely don't recall him playing a straight-up antagonist or villain, if you will. And I thought he really pulled it off. Like, it is very, very scary and very believable. The manipulative turn that he takes.
Yeah, like, there wasn't a point where I questioned it either. It wasn't like Hans and Frozen, where I was like, what the fuck? No, it was highly believable because
I mean, it helps that it happened early enough on to where, you know, it didn't just feel like it was there for the sake of the plot. Like, it definitely feels like, no, this is, you know, behind all the sunshine and rainbows, you know, the reality of the situation is that it's just like, you know, it's grim.
Yeah. And he literally says, this is how it is. And I'm like, because he almost seems like, what, like, I'm trying, but this is what you gotta do. And he almost
no, the line that got me, and in a good way, well, good in terms of writing, like horrible in terms of what he meant. Yeah. I remember this. I'm gonna say this is the exact quote, but I'm probably gonna get it wrong. So this is like pretty close paraphrasing. This is what everybody else is doing. What makes you so special?
Oh God!
Wow. And then the scene that followed that was just like, good Lord.
Yeah, I can't remember if I think that line proceeded when, because there's a point where Sandy has a breakdown and she's looking around and she's just thinking, why can't I just be like everyone else? And it's like that sort of manipulation from Jack affecting her in the present.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really
yeah.
tragic.
Yeah, and it butchers Ellie as well, to the point where she's just like, and again, she feels the abuse that
Jack
gives
Sandy.
to say thank you. She feels the abuse that Jack gives to Sandy to the point where she's like literally having like trauma, and she starts seeing things. But that also could be her possible psychic powers. But of seeing ghosts. But I feel like it's a combination of it leaves it up to interpretation, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of,
at least at first,
isn't it? Yeah.
At least at first, it slowly becomes clear that either it's not just her losing her mind, is and seeing things. This is the fact that she's able to see ghosts, which is kind of not explained, but that again.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of. I guess that's not the most like important part to explain.
Yeah,
What's
no.
more important is getting the specifics down. But also, they kind of talk about how, you know, it's like the room. They kind of hint that it's the room itself.
Yeah, and but the room is like following her. If that makes any sense.
It's the spirits of everybody that died there, stuff like that.
Yeah, although we don't know it's her dying at first. We just see the like faceless men, just
I
around her.
That.
That's
that was
so
like
creepy.
That was such a great like movie monster that was horrifically realistic, and it pays off with the like we learn from the current present day Sandy that it was just a way of repressing all of those faces, all of those memories, and god damn, it's so horrifying.
It really is. Hang on. Yeah, because at first you just see them and you're like, oh god, these are all the faces of the people that she just blocked out of her mind because she had to do this for show business, and all the trauma she's gone through, all the like time she's had to deal with this insufferable crap. But then we learn later that it's not quite that. I just think it's, and then near the end where we actually see some nice moments for Ellie. Because all throughout all the craziness, all throughout all the like her like mood swings and not mood swings, her breakdowns. Yeah, her breakdowns.
Yeah.
John is constantly by her side, like constantly, to the point even where I would even go, ma'am, you might need to see a professional. There's one point where I was with him all the way except for one point. And I was like, okay, maybe she should see it.
Maybe dial it down, but I think we just like, oh, you're, because he says is like I said, there was a line which like I just want to be like everyone else, and he says I'm glad you're not. So it's clear that like he sees something in Ellie that
yeah,
she's not like other girls.
Yeah, and. And their chemistry works, I'd say. They have fun.
Their chemistry is fine.
I'm firmly in camp, like, every other movie up to this point from Edgar Wright, it was he struggles to write women. This movie, and I mean, I understand for a lot of them, it's because, you know, they're just like horrible people. It's like they're supposed to be like, you know, just one note terrible, and it's like, that's fine. But it's like, wow, this movie, like, did he not know how to write men for this movie?
That's not
He's like,
fair.
no.
They just don't- Love interests are hard, apparently.
I felt it was funny because up to this point, it's like, oh, Edgar Wright women, lol. Then this movie, it's like, you know, the women are great, but it's like Edgar Wright men, lol.
Well, okay, but also
Hey,
remember
hey.
that he's not solo on this. This is like I said, there's we have a female co-writer in the project. So
I mean, I know, but still, it's an Edgar Wright movie.
The romance did seem kind of forced. I mean, give it to Michael. Oh God, these names are so hard to pronounce.
Yes, Ajay.
Give it to Michael Ajeo. I'm
Ajay.
sorry if I butcher your name. He does a good job with the role. He plays John very well.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
But there was one. It just feels like if I were a college student and I just met this girl in the beginning of the year, I would not have put up with all that he did. Again, even up to the party, and even after like the whole trauma of, I mean, what it was pushing it, but like that whole night where Ellie finds out that Sandy got quote unquote murdered, with the blood everywhere,
Mhm.
and the visions. That was a traumatizing scene. And two, like he ran, he almost got killed, and literally possibly, and he still is with her at the end, and I'm like, at that point I still believed it. And I would have been like, okay, fine. Then the library scene happens.
Yes, I was waiting for that. Yeah.
And you see that she starts hallucinating and
Yeah.
seeing the men there. Terrifying. Very terrifying. And then she pulls out, either it's a knife or scissors, I can't remember. And she starts to stab one of the men. And you see John hold her hand she's just about to stab the bully. And he just slowly moves it away. And he's just like, this is fine. And the bully, respectfully so, like, no, it's not fine. Security. And
yeah,
I'm
I was
like,
kind of with her, no lie.
no, I understand, because that's, even then, if I was John, I would have been like, okay, you need to see therapy. Like,
that's the main thing, is that she's going through like PTSD and just having a very horrific breakdown that almost went horribly south.
Yeah.
I think he's because there's a line where John says, like, my auntie was into talking about spooky stuff or weird stuff. I don't know, but just the implication that, like, that he understands that where she's going through, and that she's having these visions. It's just like, whether they're true or not, she's feeling it, and there's clearly something like happening to her mentally.
Yeah.
That is changing her, and it's definitely like to have that sort of breakdown that publicly, it is not easy to bounce back from.
No.
No, it's
Like,
it's terrifying, and yes, I understand from Jocasta's perspective that like I would be scared out of my mind after that. I also can understand from Ellie's perspective, like I said, like PTSD, like some, like it's seeming like some sort of like depression. They talk. They have a couple points where they act about like schizophrenia, and she doesn't say anything, but it's clear that she's going through some. She there's something undiagnosed, and she's not addressing it well.
No.
And I mean, when you're in that state of mind, it's very easy to mistake. I mean, to other people, it's like, oh, that's so obvious. But like in that moment where you see something, it's very easy to mistake.
Exactly.
What I really like, I mean, again, we'll get to my complaints about the second half, but really like this detail when they're in the library. Someone taps her shoulder. She thinks it's John, but it's the faceless man, and she gets scared and she starts running. You can see in the aisles, some of them are the faceless men, but others are just like regular people. And like the longer it goes on, the more the regular people fade out, kind of hinting that it's like, they're just people, and she's seeing them as these faceless men. And then, sure enough, it comes to a conclusion when she almost stabs her roommate.
Yeah. There's even a moment where I don't believe it was at the library, where she's talking with John, and just at a certain point, I think she says like, "I want to help you," or something like that. And behind John is all those faceless men, and just like the like I said, PTSD creating this fear of men and fear of being betrayed by men. Even though this guy is pretty damn supportive, right up to and including the like when she very nearly like killed somebody, in a break during a mental breakdown. Like it's just very hard for her to see because of everything that she had witnessed from what was supposed to be this beautiful, perfect world for her, and just falling apart entirely.
I hate to completely derail, but while we were talking about John, I just remembered it was like, it wasn't that funny, but maybe just because the jokes were a bit more thin, I thought it was much funnier. When she's sleeping in the classroom, he goes up to her, he goes, "Hey, do you want to go to this Halloween party?" She's like, "Oh, but I'm not dressed up." And he's like, "I don't know, I'm just wearing black, so are you. That's close enough, right?"
Oh yeah, like I'll just wear this makeup. Yeah, let's just go. That's good enough,
right? Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
I mean, I've worn a lot less at the Halloween party.
Too much information, random. But
no.
Lol.
Lol. I can't believe I said that.
Anyway,
but speaking of the Halloween party, Jocasta drugged her. Apparently.
Maybe.
No, that's because they hint at that, but then she's like, "Oh no, this was happening before the party." So it was just something that was brought up in.
But also like it's not like because she's saying like, oh, but the drugs aren't what's causing these hallucinations. But also, wasn't she also like in a really bad state during that party where it seemed like she was getting really inebriated, like dangerously so?
It didn't feel that different compared to everything else. I mean, maybe like worse in terms of there's a gradual buildup, sure, but
we don't know.
If the movie hadn't pointed out specifically that there was the potential that she could have gotten drugged, I wouldn't have even thought twice about it. And it doesn't really I mean, I guess it makes sense for the. I hate that we keep calling her the bully because she's not that bad, but
Jocasta, yeah.
Jocasta, yeah. It's not something that I would put past her doing, but I don't know, maybe it's just because I don't really feel like it would add any real meat to it, because Jocasta has her role in the movie, but being like a big player is not that role.
Yeah, I think
at least past the opening act, which that's fine. I don't have a problem with the bully only Jocasta showing up every now and then. I have no problem with that. But when you bring her back at some point, just to have, I don't even want to say like a red herring, because that's not really what she was. I was
gonna say. Yeah, I think like it could be in some way like the drug.
But it can't be a red herring, because she literally explains this happened. This all started before yesterday, so it literally can't be a red herring. Unless that's supposed to hint that it's like Jocasta is doing things to make her have these memories, but it's like
no, I don't believe that.
That's wild. That's like too wild. Like that doesn't fit with the movie at all.
No.
That's
like,
not
it's
at all.
Why
what
did
I
they
was
bring?
implying. No.
No, I didn't say that's what you were implying.
Sorry. No.
All right, this is gonna be what breaks the podcast apart. Random was right.
No, but maybe this is something that I'll have to pay attention to in my second watch through, because there is there was some, they make some sort of there's a make some sort of line at one point, like don't drink don't take drinks from from other people or from strangers or whatever, and that pays off at the end when she takes the tea and she's real and like from Miss Collins, and she just starts to realize, oh my god, she poisoned my drink and I'm going to die. So I
Which
think
she
it's
doesn't,
possibly
but
that's
still.
what it was referring to, that it was the setup for that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's that's something we need to rewatch again, really, to find out.
I mean, I'll be frank. I could say all the things I liked about this movie, all the things that I didn't like. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an Edgar Wright movie, of course, but this isn't a problem. I've heard a lot of people be like, "Oh, the movie's bad because it's so confusing," and it's like, yeah, it's a little bit confusing. I'll agree, but that makes me want to watch it a second time.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Crazy.
glad it's
Movies
doing
can
that.
have rewatch value. What a novel concept.
I know, right?
I'm glad it had that at least. Yeah.
I mean, it's
trying
an
to
Edgar Wright movie. They all have rewatch
Of
value.
course.
Funny or-
like, I knew
funny or
from the
not.
get-go, like, my first time watching this is not going to be my last.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else worth mentioning. I mean, there is.
There is. We haven't even gotten to the ending yet.
Well, I'm trying to think if there's anything else we should mention.
What's her last name? The Miss Collins.
Miss
yeah.
Collins.
Yeah, Miss Collins.
Pre-reveal. We'll talk about the reveal, but definitely pre-reveal. I liked her the most out of everybody.
Oh yeah, and
I really like her. I don't even want to say like no nonsense attitude. It's just that it's like
she's down to earth.
She is friendly once you get to know her, but also she's like crazy sarcastic and will let you know when you're off the chain, to quote Haunt Fuzz.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And a horrible scene when Ellie has that moment when she sees Sandy potentially getting stabbed. Like horrible. But when the guy runs out and Miss Collins is like, well, we'll talk about this in the morning, whatever. Then the morning happens, and she's like, I'll get the mirror covered. You're lucky I didn't kill your friend, which is
God.
amazing in context. But in the moment, I'm like, God, I love this lady.
Yeah.
I regretted that. But
yeah, at the same time, I was thinking the same thing. I was, so, me, I, of course, tried to figure out who the person was who killed
sure.
Sandy.
Oh, sure.
And I pretty much was like, okay, it's obviously Jack, and it's obviously that he's now older now, and he's creeping on Ellie. And I was like, case closed.
That's exactly what I was leading you towards.
Yeah, Mrs. Collins seems pretty cool. I mean, she's down as long as because I've known people like this. Don't fuck up their rules, and they'll be fine. They'll treat you fine.
Yeah.
And she broke a rule, and I was like, oh shit, here we go. And then she's like, listen, I know you've had a rough night. We were not gonna let that happen again, right? Right. Okay. You're lucky I didn't kill the guy. And I didn't think anything of it. I was like, whoo, she seems pretty down to earth. She understands. But I really, I'll talk about it later, but what I want to do. But like, it just was interesting. And through this whole time.
No, you go. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna maybe segue to the reveal if there was nothing else to mention.
No. Now I thought that Jack and the old man were the same person also.
Yep.
And this was probably just because I was like really adamant that maybe I'm not going to complain about what the movie wasn't, because that's stupid. But I was clinging to this idea that Sandy was Ellie's mother. And I'm like, she's definitely, because they said that her mother killed herself. Like they made this a point. So it's like, that's how Sandy's gonna go, and she's gonna find out that these visions are of her mother, and that's gonna go somewhere. I mean, as it turns out, Sandy didn't even die at all. She's still alive. But at no point did I think that anybody was going to kill her, and that Jack was the old man, and that's how it was gonna come together. It was, I don't know if that's what the movie intended to do or not, but it did bring me along for that ride.
I think that there's multiple red herrings along the way.
Yeah, there's so many red herrings. Before we talk about the reveal, I just remembered another scene that we should probably talk about. That's a lovely name.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And that also works with the twist with Jack, or the old guy that we see later.
Yeah. But
I want to talk about that old guy, but first,
that's a lovely name.
Yes.
Where you just see her going through the motions of just wooing all these men for money.
Being forced to woo all these men for money.
Yeah.
And there's one guy who's just saying, no, I want to know your name. It's like, what are you, a cop or something? And just trying to say, he's saying like, you gotta get out of this. You're
better than this, pretty much. You're too good for it.
You're too good for this. And she's just like, I'm my own person or something along that line. But she's to quote one of the songs that show up, she's a puppet on a string.
Oh my god, the music in this movie. God damn it, Edgar Wright. Why are you so good at picking a soundtrack?
There were two songs. There's Always Something There to Remind Me and Puppet on a String. Both of them sung by Sandy Shaw. God damn.
Yeah.
He's so good at this.
Yes. Not to mention the songs that Anya Taylor-Joy sings to herself as well. Like, she literally sings songs in the film.
One
Downtown,
for Audition,
just
fantastic. Lots of classic songs and songs that may not know very well, which is another great thing with Edgar Wright, is that he's. I was reading one review that called him like the best musical director who hasn't directed a musical.
Yeah.
Like, he's just so good at that.
Let me list some of the song titles for you. Land of a Thousand Dances. There's a Ghost in My House. Happy House.
Happy House
A
is
World
great.
Without Love. Wishing and Hoping. Don't Throw Your Love Away. Always Something There to Remind Me.
Last Night in Soho.
Last Night in Soho.
Last Night in Soho, which I much like Baby Driver, I did not know that was a song.
Yep. And I know either. And I can't listen to it on Spotify either. So I still don't know. Anyone Who Had a Heart. Eloise.
Oh yeah, there's just literally a song called Eloise that not Jack plays on the jukebox. Like a fucking creep.
Yep. All right. That's all I want. Oh, Starstruck. That's one too. Again, all good songs that fit the movie well, that you would have think. Edgar Wright is really good at picking songs that you think were made just for the movie.
Yeah.
You think someone wrote them just for this.
He's a huge nerd about music, and he loves all sorts of different genres, and he really plays up all the different sounds that he brings in. Especially, like, I did not know about Happy House before this movie. It's a fucking good song. I really like that one.
I'll be with you. I'm gonna be listening to the soundtrack after we do this.
Very Baby Driver.
Yeah.
Just like
do we want to talk about the ending?
Okay.
Or is there anything else that we want to bring up?
Can I
Kirby,
Can I talk about Lindsay?
He's what I also would refer to with the ending. I had a feeling you would transition from Lindsay to the ending. But Kirby, is there anything you want to bring up as well, or?
I mean, it's a little hard to get into specifics because we do need to talk about the ending, and I've only seen the movie once, so it's hard to think of specifics. But
yeah,
the further we got into the second half, So I don't want to quite say that these are two different movies, but like around the halfway point, I am really into this so far, and I'm really loving the commentary about everything. But the longer the movie went on around that point, it just kind of started feeling more and more like a standard horror flick. Like I noticed there were a lot more jump scares. It started to kind of rely on horror movie things, like pinning someone down on the bed. Which again, I guess that one's kind of a bad example because in context it works. But like the longer the movie went on, and like I said, it just kind of when you think horror movie, a lot more of these things started happening, and I really liked that at first. The horror isn't the movie; the horror is the reality. I love that, especially for something this as horrible of a topic as this.
Mhm.
So I kind of got annoyed. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
At just the horror tropes being more standard. I mean, again, it's so hard to say because any example that I can list is probably only because I've seen the movie once, and I'm sure, Edgar Wright had a vision for all of these scenes for them to fit. But once there were like, I remember the span of like 15, 20 minutes, there were like 2 or 3 jump scares, something like that. And I'm like, it's just a lot of loud noises. Like, I mean, I'm sure we all hated the strobe light. Like, that's
Oh
just,
my God.
Thing is, that wasn't even like a horror scene. That was like the fun dance scene.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was like,
I don't know why that came to my mind. It has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. But
No,
I'm sure
no. I remember. We were talking about on Discord. Wash, didn't you get a warning about that strobe light?
Thank you, Wash.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Wash, for warning me. I was
Yeah,
prepared.
yes.
Like the second it started, I was like, Wash warned me, closing my eyes.
Yeah, I literally looked down. I was like, because they didn't warn me. My theater didn't warn me.
Mine didn't warn me either.
Yeah, no, I gotta. This movie had 2 warnings when I went to buy the tickets. One of them was the strobe lights, and the other was that, and this is something I did not notice at all, was that the first 25 minutes apparently were mixed with just the left and right channels, and then after that it became full stereo, and I could not have noticed that at all.
I mean, that's weird.
That sounds like it's weird, but it also sounds like something Edgar Wright would do.
That's exactly
Yeah,
the thing.
he has
That the
done.
warning
That's true.
was like, "Don't worry, this is intentional."
I mean, of course.
Don't complain about the audio. It's working. It's working as expected. He's just being kind of weird.
I mean, after
Typical
all,
Edgar Wright.
we're talking to the same person who would make the music sound like as if Baby was wearing earphones. So literally, if he took one off, we would only hear half, like one side of the music playing. So not surprised at all. But yeah, when you warned me with the strobe lights, it was quick. Thankfully, I was worried.
It wasn't.
because-
It's not to the level of Incredibles 2.
Oh my God.
Yeah, when I was in the theater, eyes closed, thinking about the fact that there were strobe lights, I was like, wow, this is so nostalgic.
But thankfully, it ended quickly and got replaced with more faceless people. And you know what?
Yeah,
I'll take that over
thankfully.
strobe lights.
Yeah. I also
I
with
would. Maybe not Ellie, but I would.
I actually didn't notice the jump scares. Maybe it's just because like they weren't as loud as I get really scared of, or maybe I'm finally getting used to horror again. But I didn't notice I actually didn't notice jump scares this time around. I know they're obviously like startling stuff, but it wasn't there wasn't anything with like it's a silent scene and then suddenly somebody like there's a ghoul screaming into the camera like that one car commercial. It wasn't any of that.
The only thing I could think of was there was one point, I think it was sometime after the murder, where like I think Ellie looks through a door or something, closes it, and then sees, and no, she's being like chased by something in her room, closes the door, opens it, sees nothing, and then either she like looks back in the hallway. No, it is the guy. Oh, no, hold on, no, yeah, she leaves her room, closes the door frantically, looks back, sees there's nothing in her room, then turns around and there's and then there's something there, and there's another face of the guy that startles her. That's the only thing I can think of. And then there was one other time. It was when Sandy first, you see her having prostitution with a guy, and you see him come in, and you see him come in from the bathroom, and he goes to Sandy, he's like, "You're not sleeping," and then Ellie wakes up. And then and she thinks she's like awake because it's the same shot as she was in the previous. You see a hand touch her shoulder, and then you see that same guy go to Ellie. "You're not sleeping," and then it cuts back. Those are the only two jump scares I can think of.
Oh yeah. That's maybe.
Yeah.
It's.
I really like the latter one of those.
There's like a loud music thing in the background. I was gonna talk about something, but we'll just get back to what I was talking about. There's a loud, music cue in the background, that shock, like a surprise kind of thing. And I don't know how I feel about that in this kind of story. If it wasn't so, which I'm not gonna critique Edgar Wright for doing a good job, but if he wasn't so, him and the co-writer, sorry, if they weren't so good at really tackling the reality of the situation. And then being like, also, horror movie tropes, I probably wouldn't have bothered so much, but then it wouldn't have been as good of a movie. And, I mean, they were there in the first half. I wasn't quite as bothered because they were spread much thinner. And, I mean, I understand things have to happen sometimes for you to keep your horror movie audience engaged. Unfortunately, you shouldn't have to, but you have to. That's just the way Hollywood is. It's like with the Mario movie, like we were freaking talking about. But it became more and more prevalent as the movie went on, and when they really started tackling, like, some of this, I guess they started tackling the heavier stuff in the first half, but you know what I mean. And it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Not intentionally rude or hateful or even really sloppy. Like this, it could even just be a me thing. I don't know, but it definitely, I wasn't thrilled.
No, that's the same. Cause
I understand.
I understand. Like, I disagree, but I understand that. Like, just you were hoping for something that wasn't gonna go as rough as some of the.
I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna critique it for what it isn't, but I will for what it is. I kind of wish it moved away from the movie and stuck with the reality for the whole way through.
For me, the big horror stuff was. Like I said, I was more just like kind of pulling my hair because like there was just it wasn't for me. There was less jump scares and more just atmosphere and tension, and just so much tension going around. Just like at any moment, like you can just snap, which works pretty damn well for a psychological horror film. I gotta say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the jump scares didn't bother me too much. I mean, other than that, I didn't actually verbally say that in the theater. There were a couple times I did actually jump a bit. But one, I get startled easily. But two, I've seen worse amount of jump scares from the games I've played. So
I'm gonna say you're pretty well versed now in horror.
Yeah, and I just coming from Doki Doki Literature Club and Poppy's Playtime and
Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight, Phasmophobia. Like, after all the jump scares and that, this was like creative.
I mean, look, like I've played Among Us. I know what jump scares are all about. It's I don't know. It's
want to talk. All right, Watch really wants to talk about Lindsay.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's talk about Lindsay and then go with the ending and then we'll wrap this up.
Yes. Is this actor familiar to anybody?
Is familiar. I just don't know exactly where or how.
So I'm not gonna lie. This one, no. I thought the bartender, the owner, I thought that might have been Marcia, but it wasn't.
Wait a minute. Oh my god.
Do you recognize
I recognize his face.
Terrence Stamp. Do you recognize? Because okay, I'll just say it straight up. I thought that like when he was showing up, it's like, is that Count Dooku from the prequel movie, from the Star Wars prequels? I got the wrong I got the wrong white-haired old guy. That is what's his fucking name? That is Finis Valorum, who was the guy that Palpatine replaced in the Phantom Menace. And so like the whole time I was watching it, just like I just couldn't stop thinking of the prequels and this guy.
No.
No.
He was also
He was also General Zod.
General Zod.
Yes, he was General
Oh, really?
Zod in Superman 2.
And I'm really glad I didn't know that, because all I would think about is Doug Walker, and I don't want to do that.
Exactly. I'm glad you're not the only one.
And he was also in the Haunted Mansion, but
He's all over the place.
He's in a decent amount of stuff. I'm trying to think where I know him from, but I think it was from Haunted Mansion and Superman 2.
For me, it was the Phantom Menace just over and over, just like
Yeah.
I was just so confused. But yes, Lindsay, the silver-haired gentleman, as is apparently credited, who we assumed for so long to be Jack, red herring.
Yeah. I mean, I at first when I saw, like, when he mentioned it, I was like, okay, yes. But then the more they mentioned him, and even the point where they saw him in the dream, I'm like, this is too good to be true. Something's up. And the only reason I could think of, I thought it was still him was because there's no other man that could possibly be the real killer.
Well,
turns
that's
out
You're
because-
right.
that's
You're
because
right.
we're right.
You were right. There was no other man that could be the real killer.
Yeah, and I'm like, but I will say, like, Lindsay does good. He's a creep still.
Yeah,
Like-
I gotta rewatch this because, like, looking back, it's like, why the fuck did he act like that to Ellie? Or was it just that, like, he was like a former cop who's still kind of creepy towards women? Is that all? And I'm not sure about that.
That, I think he starts talking to her once she changes her hair. So that, I think
Maybe? Oh, yeah, that's right,
she
because
reminds him of Sandy, which I don't think it sounds like he hasn't forgotten about her.
Like the
And
one that got away.
Yeah, he's like, I couldn't find her bones, I think at one point he says. And but literally throughout the whole thing, you just get worried about, like, you think he's the red herring. The movie tries to make him look out to be the killer, and in a way he is creepy, but that's about it. He doesn't really do anything too bad, other than just be a creep. And people just call him, oh, that's Lynn. Oh, that's, what do they call him? They give him a nickname, like the bar she works at gives him a nickname.
The nickname they called him, he gets run over by a car.
Yeah,
which was foreshadowed, I guess. But it's just like when he was on the street. Yeah, because Ellie almost gets run over by a car like once or twice before.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So there is some setup for that. But also, like, when that shot happened, I was like, he's in the middle of the street. Something's about to happen.
Yeah.
Am I the only one who didn't think that? Because I was just too invested in, like, oh my god, is he not the killer?
There's no.
And then he got ran over, and I'm like, oh fuck, he's not. There's no way Edgar Wright would allow the killer to just die like that.
Well, that's the thing, is that no, they didn't let the killer die like that.
Yeah. But then you see the bartender who.
Lindsay. What did you say?
Well, Lindsay's a cop, and then you see
But
he's not Jack. He's the
yeah.
Jack. No, he's worked on the force for years. And then you cut back to, like, and you see, like, that Lindsay is not Jack. He's the cop that says, you're too good for this place.
Yeah.
Then that leaves, where the fuck is Jack? and then, because as I said, I couldn't think of any other man who could possibly be the killer. And then we get back to the house.
Yep.
And I see Mrs. Collins, and I'm like, let's go inside. And as soon as she drank the tea, I'm like, fuck.
Yes, as soon as she drank the tea, it was just like, oh, this is bad. Well, okay, two things. One, she drank the tea. Two, I saw her an envelope right there that said Alexandra Collins. I was like, Alexandra, why do I remember that name? But I mean, luckily this was like a minute before the reveal, so it wasn't like it ruined the whole twist for me.
Oh, yeah.
But
you might not even notice it at first. Because you'll just be like, oh, Miss Collins, Alexandra Collins. But if you paid attention, you'll know.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I didn't see it coming until she drank the tea. And I'm like, God damn it, Edgar Wright, you got me. You got me again.
He got me too. I mean, you know what my theory was going into it. So.
Yeah.
But still, he got me. He got me.
Yeah.
And
the whole thing with that, like, that murder we just saw, it happened metaphorically.
Yeah.
The old Sandy died.
Yeah.
When she murdered all of those men. It's quite a twist. And
yeah, and then you realize that all those men that were trying to like get her attention, follow her, they were trying to like, they were asking for help.
Yeah.
They wanted revenge. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, because at one point you see like where she's like strapped on the bed, and you see one of them pull out the phone and be like, help. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah.
Like, it's terrifying, but
I
that's
am
good
very
story.
glad. I would have been furious if she listened to them, but like,
Yes.
she specifically, like, when they say help, she goes like, no, like, good, don't
Yeah.
help them, they don't deserve it.
That's the thing, is that like at the end with everything that's happened, like Sandy / Miss Collins, just finally had like this huge realization, is like, oh my god, what have I done? And like she says it was like oh god, what was the line she said? But because she said
It was something they said, like, it didn't have to be this way or something like that. And she goes, it didn't have to be this way. Or I didn't. It's like, is this how you know? It's like, is this how you wanted it to turn out or something like that?
No. The line I'm thinking of is when it's just like, she says something. It's just like where like Ellie says, I know, like it's almost but not quite endorsing the horrific murder, because of everything that these men have done to her to just break her inside and out. Again, I can't remember the specific line.
We're gonna have to rewatch it. I can't tell
we
you.
have to rewatch that, but like
we all knew we were gonna have to rewatch it when it got announced.
Yeah. we knew it as soon as we found out it got directed by Edgar Wright.
Yeah, that should have been a warning sign right there.
But yeah, I like the twist a lot.
I'm gonna say, I'll say this. I cried, and I was not expecting to cry, but something about like how everything was happening, and just that, and maybe like partly that realization, but like I was tearing up for Sandy, just like everything that's gone wrong for her. And maybe part of it is because like we really got to know Sandy, and we really got to see like her ambitions that get like stomped on, and the horror she's seen, and this is what she becomes. She's just so repressed. And it's just a tragic life, and I teared up. I don't know. I when I rewatch, I'll have to like I'll have to see if I get that same reaction. But like, I was really surprised with myself, and I came out of the movie theater a little like woozy, because it was like I was not expecting the kind of emotion, but it fit. God damn.
Yeah.
I cried when I mean, might be a better idea if we don't talk about the scene just because how dark it is. But that when Sandy was running away from Jack, saying, you know, what makes you so special, and she's just running past all these helpless women that are just in this horrible situation.
Oh yeah,
that made me cry. That made me cry.
No, that did not make me cry. That just made me be like, that made my jaw drop.
Yeah,
Because like it was real. It was real.
Exactly. And that's when I think this movie is at its best. Like the whole thing Wash was just talking about with the conclusion of Sandy, what I was just talking about, what Random just described. Like that is when I think this movie is at its best, which is why it bothers me so much when it falls into a horror movie. But I mean, like I said, I can't critique Edgar Wright for being too good at his job.
Yeah, that whole, because we can't describe the visuals in YouTube. We can't.
Yeah, no,
we can't.
Or SoundCloud. Not
or
SoundCloud. The other one.
Simplecast.
Simplecast.
Also SoundCloud. But but it is disturbing, but also real and stuff that people have went through.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks, but it happened, and history likes to forget gross things like this happened, but it happened.
I also gotta say that Ellie's gotta have one strong immune system for drinking poisonous tea and showing symptoms of being poisoned and then getting better.
I mean, I have something to talk about that.
Okay.
But there's something, but that's near the end.
I mean, are we talking about the end?
Yes, but
we talked about the reveal. Like, how much more is
but
there?
I want to talk about the fight scene where she's like struggling with Sandy, and it visually changes from Mrs. Collins to past Sandy, and you see like them interacting with each other finally and fighting. That's so visually good.
Yeah, the staircase that's like cracking apart. Yeah.
Yes. This is a lot with reflections. This movie's a lot with reflections.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because a lot of it is about, you're so busy trying to please other people that you don't make time for yourself. Like if you look in the mirror, who are you going to see? Sandy is going to see someone she hates because in trying to get her passion, she's spending her life doing something she hates. And Ellie isn't going to like what she sees because she's powerless. She can't do anything. Not only about Sandy's situation, but her own.
Exactly.
Really good stuff. Especially at the very, very end when they touch in the mirror. Like they touch fingers in the mirror and it doesn't crack at the very end. Nice touch.
Yeah.
Nice touch.
Yeah.
It's her having to fully confront what was her fantasy world. And it's like, oh, like it would be perfect if I could be like everyone else. And well, we see what happens when you try to do what everybody else is doing.
Yep.
It ruins you.
It's not good. I did like a lot of the things, like you see Mrs. Collins just sitting down in the bed as the fire happens.
Yeah. Again,
you see the picture of you see the picture of Sandy that Ellie draw burning in the fire. You see the picture of her mom burning in the fire, which I thought could have been some symbolism, but of like
the stuff. Maybe that's why the stuff with Ellie's mom bothers me. Maybe like the stuff with Sandy and Ellie is wonderful. Maybe this is kind of what I'm feeling on a gut. I don't think the stuff with Sandy's mom felt earned. Maybe that's what bothers me.
That I could understand that. And then you
everything with Sandy felt earned.
Oh yeah, without a doubt,
for sure.
Like they did so well with that, like the writing, the acting, the cinematography. Oh my god, the cinematography, all so good.
Edgar Wright.
And then it cuts to, and then we see firefighters try to revive both, to revive Ellie, who's on a stretcher, and John, who has been stabbed.
We didn't mention he got stabbed. Yeah.
And I'm like, how does one survive that? And then she falls
the
into
National
sleep.
Health Service to you, I guess.
No. Here's my thing. Here's how I actually interpreted the ending a different way. I thought that since Ellie went to sleep, all that about her being like a fashion designer and her like seeing with her mom with John. I thought that was like all her dream fantasy again.
I like
That's what I thought.
because it does. I do remember feeling like something's about to happen because this is way too perfect. And of course, at the very ending is where we see that like Sandy hasn't really left her. That like dark part of her hasn't really left her, and it's like okay, that's a little more understandable. But yeah, like when that was starting out, it was just like is this another dream? Like
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's literally what I thought.
it could, and it could be. That's the thing. Like because of that because of seeing like Sandy in the mirror, it's like it could be a dream, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, I think Edgar
Interpretation.
Wright. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Edgar Wright left that up to interpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This, I feel like, random, I blame you for this comparison, but I feel like this is more on the guy who didn't like musicals end of things than Black Friday, for me at least. And how I like,
In what
it's
way?
good. I like it.
Okay,
And,
you
like,
like
Just
it.
in
either
terms of,
way-
like, the guy who didn't like musicals handled this right. Black Friday handled it poorly. That's it.
Okay, I was like because it's a musical.
all of a sudden all of a sudden all of a sudden like John
Have a
goes to
poison
Ellie
cup
and is
of
like,
coffee.
"You're all right."
That's what she has, a poison cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Oh God, I just remembered. So the movie ended, and I was like, okay. I mean, I was trying to piece together what I had thought about it. I'm not comparing it to anything, but on the way there, I'm like to the theater, I was listening to TTO music because I just didn't want the car to be quiet. So Star Kid was like subconsciously on my mind,
Oh,
and I looked at the song list where it said "Last Night in Soho." I saw the L and I saw the duration of the word. My brain autofilled. I was like, "Land of the Dicks? What is that doing in this movie?" And then I saw Last Night in Soho, and it's like, why can I not get me and my dick out of my mind? I hate it. Why can't I get it out of my mind?
I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, that's how I interpreted the ending, and I
like that
kind of
interpretation a lot.
I do
like it a lot.
too, because I mean, it would be nice to have Ellie go through a happy ending after all the shit she's been through, but that just seems so
'cause
unlikely.
My problem with the ending is that, and I just said this, is that it didn't feel earned. But when you put it like that, that's a little different. Like that kind of feels much different to me. Like, yeah, I could see the movie bringing it to this point. And of course, having the happy ending is nice, but again, kind of thinking of on my line before, if it's like, all this reality, and then you're just like, lol, happy ending. Like, this kind of annoys me in a way. But
Yeah.
but I like this. I like that a lot. Yeah, cool. Okay.
It just seems like the fact that everything's too good to be true. That
Yeah.
means that it reminds me a lot of the first dream sequence where we first meet Sandy,
Yep.
and everything's too
Yeah.
good to be true.
exactly.
Yeah, I like it. It's like no, never mind.
Almost as if
I was gonna
Sandy,
make another dumb guy who didn't like musicals comparison, but never mind.
I was
Yeah,
feeling
almost,
it.
almost as if Sandy is now watching Ellie's life.
yeah.
Ooh. Well, that's
But that's just a theory. It's just
No.
I
I'm
wasn't
not
gonna.
knowing
I was
you.
gonna say it's just a
no,
theory. What the heck's wrong with you?
No, random. That was not at you. That was at Wash. I heard it.
Okay.
I heard it.
I wasn't gonna
I'm
say.
sorry.
No, because we had this. This happened in Higurashi. Random said that's just a theory. Both Wash and I said a game theory because we thought the other was going to say it. So he said,
But-
"All right, we're not going to do this again." And Wash almost did it again.
That's why I didn't finish saying it. But also, yes, we are currently recording the Higurashi podcast, and we
Yeah,
hope
Wednesday
that
podcast.
we hope that you'll enjoy it. In
Another
January.
psychological horror.
Yes.
Another
And-
psychological horror.
Yeah,
Episodes aren't out yet, but they will be soon. So be sure to subscribe. Final thoughts?
Let me just see. If
Yeah,
there's
is there anything else or final? I mean, now it seems like a good time for final thoughts.
I guess so. The only other thing that I want to add is that 'cause we talked a lot about like Miss Collins and how good of a job she did. That is Diana Rigg, the
Yes,
actress.
yes.
Yeah.
And this was her final film. Tragically, she passed away September 2020. So she would never be able to see the film And not only her, but the bartender.
Yeah. Yeah, Margaret
yeah.
and Nolan.
Yeah. And thing is, I found that I was researching on both of them. Like they were both like Bond girls. They were both women in James Bond films. And I feel like that's partly intentional to have like
Oh,
60s stardom, like a the classic hottie actresses of the 60s coming back to reprise these in this film all about the 60s. I feel like that was quite intentional, and
oh yeah.
it has a good amount of layers to it, and very very sad that Diana Rigg and Margaret Noland never get to see the final product. I saw in one interview where like the Diana Rigg I believe daughter, she did get the chance to see the movie and said like there was a scene where there's a close up of Diana's hands picking up a cup of tea, and she's just like, I wasn't ready to see mom's hand on the big screen again. I missed her hands. That's so that's so sad. And it's props to both of them. Is what I'm leading to. Like props to them both for this. You will be missed. Like this fantastic roles all around. I think that's it. So, my final thought is I quite like this. It's definitely gonna need a second watch, as we kept saying over and over and over again. But I was very impressed. I didn't know what to expect from. I mean, obviously, you never know what to expect with Edgar Wright, but like Edgar Wright horror film, psychological horror film. I came out of it like, not only did I enjoy it, but like I want to see some of these other like psychological horror films that inspired this. Like I looked up and there are at least a couple that were mentioned. It's like I want to see more of this. Like this is really fascinating stuff. I'm sure there's like homages all over the place. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's I'm trying to think if there is anything that I really had an issue with. Maybe that like, and again, this gonna need a second viewing, but maybe that like John felt comparatively underutilized. It took a while for John to really be a driving force in the film. Um, but I'll see how that goes. I am glad I watched this though, because now I know never go to London ever, ever. But that's all I gotta say. Let's go with Kubi fan.
Sure. So good news for the future of the podcast. I also liked it.
We can the gang is back together.
Yay! This isn't the end. It's
Just
not
in time
the end.
Just in time for Higurashi to break it again. I am not as enthused as Wash is. I've gone over my problems, but again, I hate you, Random, for giving me this star kid. But it's similar to Black Friday and how it's like I can't fault Edgar Wright for being so ambitious, even though there are things in the final product that I'm not super crazy about. But the difference, and this is in Edgar Wright's favor, is that it is a very, very important topic and that Edgar Wright decided to tackle. And I appreciate it. I'm glad he got a woman's perspective on this.
Oh,
it wasn't.
Especially.
I'm very glad. Kind of like with Pete Docter and Soul. I keep talking about other movies, but like with Pete Docter and Soul, I like that, a whole bunch. And when the movie is good, it soars. It's probably the least funny thing that we've watched for the pod. Well, the least in. Okay, no. It's not the most unfunny. That's like me and my dick or something. But it is among the least funny that we've watched for the podcast. But again, that's fine. That wasn't the intent. And there are still funny moments. Biggest laugh of the movie for me was when she tried on that one dress. She walked out of the store because she saw the one building. Mm-hmm. And the cashier from inside shouts out, "Hey, are you going to pay for that?"
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And she goes back inside. 375 pounds. 375? 375.
Which is $513 in US money. Like,
jeez.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, clothes are expensive. Fashion's expensive.
I could buy a PlayStation 5 with that money, and I'll get.
I really
way-
could.
Look, getting the PS5 gamer.
And honestly, I think her newspaper dress was just as good, if not
That
better.
rocked. That rocked.
It's a good dress. It's a good.
That
dress.
rocked. I loved
It took
it.
me a while to realize,
I'd wear
wait,
it.
that's newspaper.
Yeah, it clicked right away for me, but partially because I was like, oh, I'd wear that.
Like she has
yeah,
good taste. Like
yeah, no, good fashion sense.
yeah.
She's also brave, so brave. Okay,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I made my critiques and my praises known pretty well. I'll wear this much ruder than Wash did, though. John did not do it for me at all. That was like the more he was on screen, the more I was like, wow, this is like an Edgar Wright woman character.
That's harsh.
but fair. Yeah, that's all I got. That's all you got from me. Now, I strangely, somehow, by some miracle, to talk about less Star Kid than me, here's Random.
Hi. I really like this movie, and I usually don't like horror, at all. Well, actually, I have a love-hate relationship with it. It depends on the horror. Like, if anything, I'm more of a fan of psychological horror, but not psychological horror movies. Like, I prefer games. But I really did enjoy this one, mostly because most of the time, it's not. The horror isn't the main focus. The main focus is telling a damn good story. And Edgar Wright and
Christy Wilson Cairns.
and edit this out.
No.
And Edgar Wright and Christy Wilson Cairns really do a good job. They do a magnificent job. I think most of the performances are fantastic. The cinematography's wonderful. That mirror scene is one of my favorite scenes that Edgar Wright has ever done. I know. I said one of them.
Yeah, that's but I like that.
I like the twist a lot. I like the murder mystery element to it. I love how real and raw it gets with the topic of like sex work and just like all the shit that went down in the 60s.
The trauma,
the trauma,
the sexism.
Yeah, and just all those horrible things that wasn't told. All those horrible things that were told in a real way and believable way. Like I did not. I understand some of the jump scares may get a little weird, and yeah, Jean is one of the weaker points of the film. I agree. The actor did a good job, but it's just more the role wasn't written that well.
Yeah, it's a shame for Michael DeGeo.
And I don't want to.
I agree with that much.
I don't want to say it's written like an Edgar Wright swimming character because I don't like how that sounds. I want to say it's written. I want to say it's written like a Edgar Wright love interest character.
I was like, how do you think I feel having to say that?
Yeah, I know, but it's still. I didn't like saying it.
That's more appropriate, I feel, than yeah.
So I would say John's character is probably the only thing I'm not a huge fan of. I do understand complaints about like the lack of the mom and a few other things that were mentioned, but so far they don't really bother me. I have no idea where to rank this other than I know it's better than Dead Right. That's all I know.
I don't know. Dead right. I think it's got this movie's number.
Oh my god. But one thing I can tell you is that I cannot wait to see this movie again.
Yeah,
We'll be revisiting it for sure.
Oh, yeah.
We're definitely gonna revisit so we can actually rank this properly, and just like see if that initial spark still showed up. But yeah, I came out of it quite enjoying it quite a lot. It's not to the level for me. It's like right now, it's not near the level of Hot Fuzz. Obviously, like few things can really do that, but it could change. Like it took a bit for Hot Fuzz to really like soar in my eyes. So we'll see what happens
Yeah.
in the when we revisit this. Hopefully they'll put this in the proper streaming platforms so people can actually
Please.
watch it and talk about it. Because
Or at least let me buy the DVD, please.
just like any way so that we don't have to go to
Anywhere.
in a pandemic. Please,
Yeah.
like it's
Please, this is the only reason the movie's not doing well is because it's not on a streaming service. I guarantee the moment it does, people are going to watch it and talk about it, and it's going to be like a cult following, at least.
Yeah, it's again, it's such a. It feels a lot like they're trying to bury this film. Like they're just trying to get the release out of the way. And that's this movie deserves better than that.
It does.
It's and that's another thing that we're gonna wrap up, I swear. But like this feels like the least Edgar Wright so far, but it's still very.
It's not
Edgar.
a comedy.
It's not a well, yeah. Obviously, it's not a comedy. And it's not primarily a comedy. I don't know why I even said primarily because it's not a horror comedy at all. But I also feel that like the sort of flashiness that you get is also dialed down a good amount, and it's there's still the great cinematic sequences and those little touches, but it feels very approachable, like compared to so many of the others where it's like Baby Driver, just like constant music playing, and Cornetto trilogy. Good God, the constant cutting around. But this one is it approaches the everything with real tact. Like if Scott Pilgrim is like it's the scale between this and Scott Pilgrim. Like Scott Pilgrim is like extra, and this one is just like chill. And there's still a lot of great touches, but it keeps everything respectful, and I like that.
And with that, that's the end of That's About Right, Night in Soho. Do we know what he's working on next, or is anything announced
Is
yet,
it
or
Baby
no?
Driver 2?
Maybe.
Yes, that's the thing, is that there is talk about the Baby Driver 2, and he says that he's finished the script on that one. We'll see where that goes. But also, like, I didn't realize until I did research that, like, Edgar Wright has had so many projects that there's a dedicated Wikipedia page for including Shaun of the Dead 2. Oh, god damn. But we'll see if anything materializes from Baby Driver. Right now, I don't know that that there's anything else in the horizon. But we'll see. I obviously, like I said alluded to at the very beginning, there is that documentary. We're definitely gonna talk about that in some context. We'll get there when we get there. But I think it's worthy. It's worthy enough to do this. It's worthy enough to have a discussion about. But we'll see. Oh, by the way, one of the Ellie's classmates is the actor is gender non-conforming. I found out doing this. It's like, let's go, let's fucking go. It was nice. But that'll be it for this bonus episode. With that, I'm the Wash.
I'm random bystander here.
And I just had some fantastic tea. My stomach feels good.